pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bow your head. Let's pray. Most God and gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for another day. We thank you for the opportunity to be here to discuss the business of this district, and we thank you so much for our students, for our teachers, for our staff, all those that make this wonderful school run well. And we pray for all of those who are part of our district, our community, for our city and beyond. We pray that we can always glorify you in everything that we do. In your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I'm not sure. I think there's for other reasons. Is that right? Yes. But first, we'll have an open forum if anybody would like to address the board. Now is the time to do that. If you do have something to bring up that's not on the agenda, we can't act on anything that's not on the agenda, but we ask that you limit your words to 5 minutes or less. Seeing nobody stepping towards that mic, we'll move on. We've got a couple of special presentations.
Yes, sir. Before we make those special presentations, I do think with this large crowd here, it's always good when they're smiling and there's a large crowd. So we're glad you're here. I want to take this opportunity to thank Stephen and Mark. They came on to the board, I believe, in 2012. So they have been serving y'all for the last 9 years, and sometimes a thankless job, but we have come to really depend on them for their wise counsel and their leadership, and they will be sorely missed. I think they've got plans to go on and do great things after tonight. This is their last board meeting, so on behalf of the school district and the over 650 employees, we'd like to say thank you and best wishes. So if you give them with that said, we want to take the opportunity to also congratulate state champions. We don't get a lot of state champions. In pole vaulting, we actually were reminded that we had one in the 60s. So that's do your math, that's before they invented the pole. You know? Kyler Aguilar, come on up, Kyler, come on up. So if you'll stand up there, our board president, Stephen Lowry, we're going to get a picture of y'all. Let me tell you a little bit about Kyler. Kyler won the regional track meet by setting a record at 16 feet 3 inches. I think that's right. And was that your personal best at that time? Good time to peak. And then the state track meet was this last Friday. And he won state track meet with 15 feet 9 inches, and then went straight to try to set a personal record. But the main thing is he won a state championship. So congratulations, Kyler. And there's 2 people over here y'all wave as proud parents. I think they spend a little time on a pole themselves from what I hear. So congratulations, Mom and Dad. We appreciate y'all. Congratulations. You're going to Harding next year, going to Harding to pole vault, right? Awesome. Congratulations. At this time, I'm going going to turn it over to Kim Cheek. Kim is the director of our DI program. Miss Cheek, you're awesome. I think everybody in here knows that. So as y'all know, there was a long time where we had one goal with our DI program, that was to get the globals, and now it seems like we are doing it on an annual basis. I know this year it's going to look a little different, but I'm going to turn it over to you, Ms. Cheek. Thank you for what you do.
Well, thank you for y'all's support. We are excited. Last year, we were super excited and prepared to go to state with some fantastic teams, and then March happened. And so we were so excited to find out that DI was flexible and adapted to the situation and wanted to keep the opportunity for kids. And so we competed this year. We had kids that were pioneers. We met by Zoom and face-to-face as conditions changed, and we did it. We had 7 teams that persevered, and out of those 7 teams, 5 went to state, and 5 are going on to globals. So if y'all will bear with me, you know, for those of you that have had kids in DI, you know we're known by silly names and then a number at nationals. But Oddly Uncommon is our high school team, and they have left work and need to go back to work very quickly. So if Oddly Uncommon, if you will come up, and if your coaches will introduce your team, and then if y'all would go stand behind our school board so that we could get a quick picture. Coach Cousins, your honor.
All right, so this is our high school team, Oddly Uncommon. They've been together for quite a while during their high school careers. We have 2 seniors, Christian White and Logan Jones. Then we've got 3 juniors, Avery Cousins, Savannah Alvarez, and Keely Perkins. And then our freshman, Mr. Tanner Jones. So we thank you for all your support that y'all have given us throughout the years that we've been doing this. We definitely could not have done it without the great support of this district. So we're blessed. Thank you.
Thank you, guys, and tell your bosses thank you for letting you run up here. All right. Our next team has been together since they were little, and they did a great job this year competing in 2 challenges and qualifying for globals in 2. However, they chose to only advance in 1 so they could go all in. So, Metallic Chicken bosses, if y'all will come over here. Do the walk.
So they are the Metallic Chickens. They are all freshmen this year, so a whole team, and we'll be glad to see where they go from here. We want to thank y'all for your support. These guys have been looking forward to this. They love to come here and show off all the little bling, all these little friends out here making their medals jingle. But we just really appreciate it. It gives them an opportunity to really work together, and these guys are more like a family than just a team. So we have, we're going to start down here, Andrew Snyder, Kyle Page, Abby Bowles, Mackenzie McEllier, Kelsey Burleson, Avery Nelson, and Sheridan Johnston. So thank y'all.
While they're posing for that picture, it looks like people are leaving as they go, and I want to thank the parents, the grandparents, anybody that's been involved. I know how much time this involves, and it takes quite a sacrifice from you. So we appreciate everything you have done as well as what your kids have done as well. Ms. Teague, you got.
All right, our next group is a junior high group, a combination of students from the East Junior High and the West Junior High, which we loved that spirit of Wylie Bulldogs. They just did a great job. Jesselie, if you want to come up, this is Science Alliance.
Hi. Well, this group of kids have done amazing. They are talented, they have worked together, and they say that they have learned to lift each other up through problem solving. And through all the difficulties that we've had this year, they have done amazing. They are Caden Copeland. Would you say hello? Caden Copeland is in 6th grade. Benton Hanner is in 6th grade. Tyler Hawks, 6th grader. James McCall, 6th grader. Sana Salvi is a 5th grader. Hannah Varghese is a 5th grader. And Sarah Varghese is a 6th grader. Thank you all so much for your time and effort and your encouragement and support for them.
We have future video editors there. Very creative. They did a great job. Our next group is another combination of 5th graders from both the West Junior High and East Junior High, and they're known as the Detective Ducks. Misty and Jennifer, if y'all want to come up and introduce them.
At the beginning of, or maybe at the end of last year, Cheek approached me and asked if we wanted to coach, and I was like, with all the stuff that's on our plates already. But we were so happy to keep this group. They had different coaches last year, and they were the first and youngest improv group, and they had the highest improv score last year. We welcomed 2 new members this year. They took the highest improv, and they also took the highest instant challenge. And so we made it to state, and we also made it to global, so we're just super excited to bring the team back together. Couldn't have done it without our co-partners. One of them is missing, and Miss Cheek, who's leading it all. So all 5th grade, we have Whitney, you just raise your hand. Whitney, Lexi, Addison, Liam, Cooper, Madeline, and Emmeline.
Yes. Go Ducks.
You ever need research done, that's your team right there. Love y'all guys, good job. Okay, and then, hey, will y'all forgive me for something without even knowing what I'm gonna do? Okay. Yes, ma'am. All right, these are our babies. These are our babies, like 3rd graders and 4th graders and 5th graders. They worked hard. They had amazing coaches. And so I'm going to let Naomi Wood come up. Amber Yantza could not be with us tonight. Research, editing skills, video design, and then major scientific research. So I'm going to let you come introduce the Galaxy Goats.
Super proud of these kiddos. They had a team last year and their coach moved away, and so I got the honor of being their coach this year. We lost 2 from our team from last year, but we added Kaylin Bradford this year, and she is a 3rd grader. And in 4th grade, we have Callie Wood and Fletcher Smith, who's not able to be here tonight. And then we had 3 5th graders, and we have Davis and Carter Edmonston and Elijah Bradford. And they did some really great work on a scientific challenge. They had a lot of fun, and their goal this year was to go to state, and so they were super thrilled that we get to go on to globals. It's been a really exciting ride, and we thank you for supporting us and allowing us to do that. It's really special for them, so thank you.
Smile big. So virtuals this year, go ahead. So virtuals this year for globals will allow our kids to compete against countries from around the world that cannot travel right now. And we're super excited. They'll be competing in June with the results in July. And we're very thankful we're not missing school time. So that's another plus. So thank y'all again for your support. It really means the world to us. So thank you.
Appreciate y'all coming out tonight. See y'all. Y'all can move out of the corner down there.
All right, we begin on page 6 of your agenda with the bills. See the spring sports going on, a lot of baseball, softball, officials and fees going there. Page 7 has got our payroll for April, 2.5 million. Page 9, the Sam's Club invoices for the month totaled $17,600. That's cafeteria supplies, janitorial supplies, and copy paper are purchased there. The bottom of the page, Westigo Fuels, those are 2 different weeks, 10 days apart, the 9,000 and the 8,000 on Westigo Fuels.
I think we talked about this last month, but that we're seeing those increased fuel prices. Afraid it's gonna go up.
Page 10, we paid Synergy Technology $16,000 for some software for our learning students. And our cafeteria supplies are still a fair amount. Page 11, Labatt, $76,000 for cafeteria food. Page 12 has got some more technology. Savas Learning Company, $49,000, and Shy Government Solutions, $27,000, are some of our technology expenses.
On page 11, the Texas Shaw's cost settlement fee.
That's a fee that we're paying. MSB is the company that we contract with to help us do all of our reporting requirements, and it's associated to the SHARS payments that we receive. This $15,000 has to do with an annual SHARS report. There were over $232,000 that we got deposited in our bank, and this is their fee for helping us to administer and prepare for those reports. Supplemental bills are on page 13. You'll see the water bill, $11,500.
And the Kibler contract, 1.9 million. And the electric bill with Taylor is 47,000 for the month. The next page has your cash balances. At the end of April, all of our accounts had a total of $19,654,000 in the bank. You know, the debt service funds can only be used for our bond payments, and our next bond payment will be in August. The next page is the revenue report. You see, we're at 77.5% total collections compared to 73% last year.
I know that we've applied for several things through, don't know, we talked about that last approved, and do you know about what through all those, through that process, what would count under here, what would be the next year's budget?
We had originally planned to push everything to the next year because of not getting any guidance from the state or not having the funds available. Last week, they did release one of the ESSER grants. There's 3 altogether, and one of them was last year's grant. The second one they have not released yet, and the third one they released last week. And it's about $2 million, but they're going to only release 2/3 of that currently. So we're going to try to spend some of it this spring and summer to get it going, since it's $2 million. And then we'll have more to spend in the next 2 years.
Did you have to spend it?
It is, but it's 2024.
2024 is when it ends.
Now, I think, let me make sure I understood the question, because when she was talking about the revenue, so this is a reimbursement process for the most part.
It's not in now.
That's right. So we will get some of that revenue this year.
Before
from the ESSER.
August.
Now, everything we're getting, we've actually got a training tomorrow about ESSER 3 funds. I also got an email this afternoon that talked about how we have to adopt a policy, which will be a June policy that we have to adopt to access these funds. So it seems like every day we open our emails and see some new guidance.
They give you earmarks for something, or no?
So they give you directions that you can spend it in, and you can choose a lot of those things, but from what we have seen, we think we're going to be able to target a lot of things we've already spent, so that money will actually free up the money, and we'll talk about that when we talk about construction. We'll give you more in a little bit on the ESSER 3. But it is good. I mean, we're glad to be getting that money. It's a lot of money. A lot of schools have a whole lot more than we do too.
So that's the revenue page, and the expense page is on the following, page 16. See the total percentages for the years at 66.5% compared to 62% a year ago. And I will make note, in our facilities line 81, you can see that's at 98% of our current budget.
You know, we're going to go beyond that. Plan spending.
And then we're responsible for providing quarterly investment reports. So page 17 has the last quarter of 2020 for your investment report.
That nice interest rate that we're getting will evaporate in September, isn't that right?
Right, our bank interest rate will change in September 1.
That'll be under the new.
Motion we made, Bill.
Those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? I think we're gonna move up.
Yes, sir. We're gonna ask Charlie Barnes to come forward and share some information about.
Yes, sir. As you know, we started out with a 28-day contingency for the weather. We've experienced some weather this month. We're down to 7 weather days. I think we will have a couple more rains before the long, hot summer sets in. So I think we're going to end up real close to our original projection. Last time we met, we just poured the first half of the foundation and started our steel erection. So 4 weeks later, we poured the second half of the foundation. We poured that on April the 20th. As usual, started out 3 a.m. We walked off the foundation at 10:30 p.m. So what took so long? We poured 774 yards of concrete, and so we wanted to knock out the rest of the foundation, so it's all done now.
Were they dragging their tails at the end of that day?
And so was I. Yes, sir, it was a long, hard day. But concrete's a tough business and non-forgiving. So you get into it, you've got no choice. But the steel erection, I got started last month like we talked about. We were projecting about 3 weeks to get the high steel complete. You can see by the photograph, that's the end of our high steel at the cafetorium and also at the entry area. So we're running pretty much on schedule. We monitor all the time. We felt like we weren't running at the pace we need to be, so we've added a couple of men and added some overtime too. So the brick mason got started on the 26th, 2 weeks ago. We forecasted about 2 weeks to complete the gym walls. They're topping that out now. In a couple of days, they'll be done with that. Factor in the weather, it's pretty close to what we predicted. So next week, we expect they'll move to the outside, actually start putting the brick veneer on the outside. The framing crews moved in last week, got started with the framing. As you can see from the photograph, they've already got the exterior walls up around the gymnasium, and then they're running where our workflow starts at the gym, flows right around the cafetorium, kitchen area, around to the front, and then finally around the classrooms. So with 1 week on it, they're doing pretty well. I think we'll be just fine with it. The bottom photograph is our curbs, and you can also see the bases for the light poles. And what we're doing is we're trying to front load the job because we know during the peak of the summer, it's real difficult to get the manpower to complete the work. So we're actually completing the outside perimeter of the curbs, so the inside curbs would get damaged under the normal construction. We're also doing our dumpster pads, and then, like I said, the light pole bases. So trying to get a little bit ahead of the schedule there, and so far so good. I think we're doing pretty well. Can I answer any questions?
Just moving on, it's pretty interesting. Pictures don't do it justice, but it's really what is going on out there. You saw the bill for this month. There was a reason for that high bill because they've got a lot of costs.
Yeah, we've got a lot of materials on site too, like we mentioned the last time. So material deliveries is something we have to be very conscious of. We're meeting with our roofing contractor already. A critical item that we're tracking is the corrugated metal that goes on the outside. It takes up to 8 weeks to get delivery on that. And of course, before we place our delivery, we have to have that front entry frame so we can accurately measure for the order. So we're watching our long lead items real close.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thanks, sir.
Just one other thing, the water pipeline, is continuing. They've made pretty good progress, and bad weather really doesn't help it when you dig in a ditch, and that's, they've made good progress in spite of that, and, when I talked to David last, they feel like they are well within their time frame to, meet their goal. So they'll have water for the fire suppression system on time.
All right. Does anybody else have any questions about construction? I've been by periodically, I'll take the long way, and it's, you can see the progress.
Well, and one thing that didn't mention that, it's really interesting that property just to the north of the road is actually the church's property, and they have determined to, fill in the tank that they had, and also clear some trees out there, and it really changes the look just to the north there. It opens up everything, and I think it's added quite a bit, so, it's a good look.
All right. So we need to talk about the guaranteed maximum price.
Yes, sir, we've got quite the crowd here. We've got some heavy hitters, that work, and Mr. Ellinger too, and, but Pat Malone and Grant Williams and are here for the.
And don't forget my new architect person over here, so.
Shonda is here. Kibler is presenting a guaranteed maximum price. They are bringing a price, so you may want to write this down since it was not included when we sent this out. We didn't know exactly where they were going to land, but Pat worked hard, and I appreciate the work that Batcher and Buffalo Gap I&E worked with him on, and they came in at $3,999,482. Let me give you a little bit of comparison. When they came to us in November, the phase two the proposal was for $3,412,296. Now, so that is a difference of $587,186. If you did the math on that, that would be a 17% increase in cost. Now, we appreciate Batcher and Buffalo Gap being here, and Pat as well, to help describe what's happened. But I think the main thing is, as you know, there has been a significant increase in construction costs. A lot of it due to materials. Another part of the problem is the supply line that is causing problems, and how quickly people can get their materials. And then labor, there's some folks that are right now able to stay at home and make as much as they could make working. So there is a real labor issue right now. And I think all those things impact a contractor's ability to deliver. So I'm going to ask Pat to maybe make any comments that he would like to make, or Pat, just.
Or Grant.
Or Grant.
No, back in November when we were out presenting, I remember it was very important to y'all to try to hold those prices. And we took some steps then to do that. We bought the studs in advance. All the interior studs are already purchased. We made a decision, and we were able to, in the $8.2 million job, to buy the HVAC units. We got a lot of the gear for the electrical. So I don't know what the actual savings is. It's pretty substantial. Whatever the cost of that is would be probably added 17 to 20% to what it was then, if we were to purchase all that today. It's a perfect storm. Joey mentioned several things, but this all started last March when COVID hit and everything shut down. So that created I don't know, 6 months of shortages basically on any materials. I know that if anybody in here has been to Home Depot to buy a piece of plywood, Steve made a joke earlier, they're having a police shoot. The prize, the grand prize is either what, a Tahoe
A
or
brand new Chevy Tahoe or a 7 foot,
8 foot
2
2x4. Yeah.
Your choice.
So your choice.
Mostly it's great.
Not a 10, but an 8. You know, copper's gone up, steel's gone up, tin's gone up, plastic's gone up. The perfect storm was the COVID crisis. Then all of a sudden we had Snowmageddon and PEX and PVC and
Delivery.
oil prices and delivery. I mean, I don't think there could be, I don't want to say that because there's no telling what could happen, but I mean, just everything was a perfect storm. And so when we started looking at this, you know, and Joey and I started talking about it, we were a little higher last week. Buffalo Gap and Beecher both came back, and we were able to lower the numbers a little bit by kind of squeezing on the suppliers. But what's happening, like with electrical, the electrical supply houses now, instead of honoring a quote for 15 days or 30 days, there's a line item on their bid that said this pricing is good till the end of the day. We went to buy lockers for another job we're doing in Amarillo right now. That was Friday, wasn't it, Grant? Yeah. Friday. We got a quote at 10 o'clock in the morning. By 1 o'clock when we ordered them, it had gone up $200. 10 roll steel, rolls, thank God you don't have a metal building, because they're running 22 weeks delivery right now is the minimum. Usually it's about 28 to 30, and they're holding prices for a day. They have a disclaimer on their bids. So, you know, it's kind of like I said, it was a perfect storm. And then you've got the labor shortage on that because nobody wants to work. Everybody's wanting to stay home because they're making more money staying home with stimulus money. So, you know, unfortunately, it is where we are. And I'm willing, I'll answer any questions about any of it. Like I said, we've got Beecher here and Buffalo Gap both, because their numbers, that was the brunt of it. That now originally their cost in the job is a high percentage of the cost. So of course it's going to go up mostly. There's going to be a lot of increase there. So can I answer any questions?
Let me make a couple other comments just real quickly too. If you'll remember, we really were not even gonna address phase 2 until later in the summer. But as Charlie and I were visiting, when I'd go out there and I just, at the point I knew we were gonna come up with our funding, it became an issue of, well, Charlie, now that we know our funding's gonna be there, what would it mean to you if we were able to get this done quicker? And one of the main issues for him was being able to get materials. He said the lead time on a lot of these materials, if we wait, we just don't know where we're gonna be. And then, of course, you see what's happened, again, to cost of, Stephen's a doctor, and he knows the price of a sheet of plywood's gone up threefold, or that's impressive, Stephen. I can tell you, I didn't know that. But so I mean, these guys can address the cost of steel. I think steel and copper and those types of things. So if you have any question, I realize this is a significant increase. One of the things that I feel good about is that we are being fully funded. We actually are, because of enrollment, we're gonna have $1 million more in our revenue this year than what we had originally projected. And this ESSER money that we were talking about a minute ago is kind of like just pouring money into the pot, and that we didn't, there's no way even, a month ago, we knew we would have this year or not. Didn't know the rules, but I don't think it's gonna get better. I mean, these folks may.
I was gonna make a comment on that. I mean, I'm almost glad we did bid it now, because from what I'm hearing, subs here, subs in DFW, it's gonna continue through the end of the year. And this is an odd cycle. It's an odd year. Like I said, perfect storm. Usually this corrects, This comes out, there's price increases the first of the year, it'll correct about the end of February, 1st of March. Everything goes somewhat back to normal, it's still a little bit elevated. Concrete went up, and thank goodness we don't have that here. There's a concrete shortage in Dallas. It's actually a cement shortage. Concrete has gone from $100 to $140 in a week, a yard, and they're allocating. So it's 700, you say you poured 770 yards? They can pour 200 yards at a time. The biggest concrete houses in Dallas are pouring 200 yards at a time, because that's all they'll give them. So, I don't know if I don't know when it'll end. We're hoping by the end of the year, we don't know.
One bit of good news I did read today, and we'll see where it goes, but they do say this came from our government, so go with that what you want to. But there's an article today talking about people having to start taking jobs. I don't remember exact parameters on it, but basically that they're about to do away with not do away with it, but just basically you're not gonna be able to sit around your tail and do nothing. So hopefully that will be a legitimate deal and not just yelling about it. So that's a possibility that hopefully help out. I hear it every day, how many people are just, they can't find work, or can't find people to work. So hopefully that'll, Steve will find a better job.
Yeah, he can go back to work now.
Yeah.
I'll address that in a minute.
So anyway, hopefully that'll pan out and that'll be legit and that'll help, not just y'all, but a lot of people need it right now. It's bad, really bad.
So I know one thing you and I talked about, and I know it doesn't involve the mechanical stuff, but can you walk us through what's left post getting this? Because there's other stuff around.
Sure.
So.
You know, one of the things that we talk about quite a bit is that when we build a building, we don't include a lot of the peripheral items because we don't want to pay that construction manager fee or the architect fee on those items, but like furniture, we've got cafeteria tables and office furniture and library furniture. I talked to our sales, Kirk Worthington, today, and he said that is up about 15% of where we were when I gave you that price. That was about 112,000 originally that we thought it was going to be. It's going to be about 129 now, 129,000. I think we're going to see incremental increases across the board on all those things. I think somebody was mentioning PVC. It's, you know, there's no doubt that it's going up. I don't know when we do our landscaping how big of an impact that's going to be, but I'm guessing 15%. I don't know. Do y'all have an idea on that? Is that?
It pretty much doubled. Yeah, I was gonna say, it's been about 200%
50%?
increase on that.
Oh, 200?
It's double the amount.
Just on the raw material.
Yeah, just raw material costs, it's been about double.
So there is gonna be some cost there, but I think, you know, we've almost had this blessing of funding come our way, and the curse of the increased prices, I just don't know that we're just in one of those situations we're gonna be fortunate enough we can afford it, but it is gonna go up. So, those were the main costs. I don't know exactly what that will mean to our total cost. Steve, did you have any thoughts you might?
No, everybody's in the same boat. I've got clients all over Texas that are experiencing the exact same thing. And there's just nothing we can do. It's just one of those, like Pat said, it's a perfect storm of me, you know, as an architect, this is just what we're running up against. And, you know, nobody likes it, but nobody knows when it's going to end either. And as Mark said, we may get some relief if the government will cut off the free money and let people go back to work. But that's the biggest problem right now, is that the mills can't make it, they can't get it here because there's no drivers. And so it's just, it's causing a problem.
Yeah, so what Miller's talking about is a real issue. We are, you know, when the fourth graders move, we're moving lock, stock, and barrel from the fourth grade wing, and those student desks, those teacher desks, their supplies that are in those classrooms will go with them for that second semester.
I might add too that Mr. Light and I sat down in my office last week and looked at the floor plan of what we have now and said, is there anything we can eliminate, reduce, or whatever to kind of help offset that cost? And honestly, the phase one of this building is pretty much bare bones now. So we just really couldn't come up with much.
And if you'll remember, we had actually done that previously when we were bringing it the first time. So
We did.
It's not, it's a no frills building, but it's still a good quality building. You know, so.
Some of the frills can be added later.
Remind me what's all included in phase two.
That is the finish out. So in other words, when they've got the framing, there is no drywall. I mean, all the drywall will come in, all the electrical will go in the walls, the plumbing, I mean, we've already got the HVAC systems. Is that what you?
The ductwork will be put in place, all your paints, all your finishes, all your
Plumbing fixtures, kitchen equipment.
Rooftop units will.
They're already on, they won't be installed probably this week.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's part of this.
It's part of the
So.
Oh, it's part of this one, the plumbing
That's-
fixtures and all that.
Not the plumbing fixture.
The rooftop.
The rooftops.
Yeah.
You will not be able to hold classes in this building without completion of phase two.
Yeah.
I'm glad you straightened us out on that, Stephen. Yeah.
Bottom line is you will not be able to hold class. Can I add one more thing here? I don't know if you know or not, but after 40-something years of designing schools and things around Texas, the best, of course, for Wylie ISD, I'll be retiring in December. And so I want to introduce Chandra Rixey here. She's an architect with our office that has been kind of our right-hand person for a long time. And so she'll be kind of picking up some of the slack. Also, she gets mad at me every time I say this, but she is the very first female architect in Abilene's history. And so that's quite an accomplishment. So she'll be still working with me throughout the rest of the year, and she's on the job site as well. So I just want to let you know that it will be seamless.
So basically everything but the FF&E. This will finish everything with the furniture, fixtures, and equipment, basically.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
And the
Landscape, some
landscape,
landscaping.
Okay.
So what, and I know it's, like I said, beyond that, but we're talking about it, so what about like staffing and, I mean, what
Well,
increase are we gonna see?
and
I
so-
know teachers move and our principals move, but like,
Sure.
the last thing you want is to have a big beautiful school and not be properly staffed.
Right, and so, that first, we're moving in December, and we're moving fourth graders over. So that's gonna be about 190 students is what we were, estimating. And so that is a small number that first semester. That gives us a chance to work out some kinks in that building. And so we'll have some cafeteria ladies, but it'll be a smaller number. We'll have some office folks.
Custodians.
We'll have some custodians. But again, for 190 kids, that's a totally different look than what you'll have even the next year with just around 400. So, yes, that will be in the budget. So.
And how much extra money are we getting?
Well, so the phase, or ESSER 3, the total is about 2.1, just under 2.1. But we have access to a little over 1.3 right now. And so.
We didn't plan on putting that anywhere else.
Now see, what that'll do is we'll come in and we'll say, we'll try to figure out what all of the available areas to apply that money, what those expenditures are valid for. And we will try to free up every dollar that we can that's already been in the budget, and it just frees it up for that next part. One of the things that has been really emphasized is that this is a one-time influx of money, so they really are not wanting for you to build in, long-term commitments like personnel. The personnel part really should be paid for with increased enrollment and, just what your regular M&O funds are for, so. But again, it would have been really, we were gonna be okay because we had the increased enrollment. But this kind of puts us in a position where it's not near as tight at the end of August when we're looking at what our fund balance is gonna be.
Carol, you feel good with this?
I do. I was happy to have this bucket released to us at this time. Because, like I say, I had planned to push it to next year, but we just didn't have any guidance, so I was glad to get started with it.
And when she talked about that, she was talking about ESSER money.
Yeah. Well, and this increase, being okay with this increase, being able to afford it.
Yeah.
I'm honestly surprised it's only a 17% increase. As much as you're seeing price increases out there in construction costs.
I don't know, Randy and Casey or Pedro, y'all have any, y'all seeing a lot of jobs bid right now. That kind of.
Well, probably on average, because we couldn't justify going up on our labor. We've already bid the labor.
Exactly.
So, it's in a lot of our stuff is raw material. We got the grills and stuff, but our ductwork, we're buying raw material. It's doubled, but the raw material is just one factor in that, in our PVC and the copper. That's kind of that is a cost, but we've already got a bunch of that built in. So I know on the electrical side, I know some of y'all's prices really got up.
Yeah, exactly. For the electrical, for our portion, I know commodities like copper and steel, so we're seeing huge price increases. But again, like our labor cost has been the same, so there wasn't an increase in that. So the only real increase for us was just the price increase on materials. And so we feel very confident where we're at, that we should be able to do our portion of it, and we're gonna be okay, and you guys give you a great look at school.
I'm sorry, can I get this clarified?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so the ESSER money, the 1.3 million can actually go, what you're saying is to finish this out, and not finish it completely, but is that what you're saying? So that our enrollment money can go to staffing, right? Is that what you're?
Well, okay, so
I'm making it simplistic, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, and so I would say maybe a little bit, first let me say the enrollment growth is just putting another what's happened this current school year is because of the enrollment growth, we're gonna add $1 million to our coffers, regardless of what happens next year with that campus. So that put us, well above what the increase in cost here. The 1.3, what it does for the ESSER funds is it allows us to go back and also basically impact our revenue line. And let's say we spend an additional $200,000 on technology that qualifies. That just, we'll use ESSER money for that, and that frees up that $200,000. And they call that supplanting. But that's legal with ESSER 3 money. So
your market kind of towards this.
yes, and if you were spending local dollars on this technology before, you just take it out and.
So what percentage? Tell me, because I don't remember. I know you said this, like what percentage of that enrollment or extra enrollment money is actually used for like teachers and staffing? There's got to be a percentage, right?
Yeah, so.
Think about how much of that actually is like,
Well, I think, I don't have that number. I don't have that number, but I know, just like in almost any business, you've got a lot of things that go towards enrollment growth. You've got your cost of your teacher, you've got the cost of, because every time you get like $6,000 for a student from state funding, or from funding, you're gonna have, part of that goes towards the teacher, administrator, to buses, to custodians, and there's always some of that is not expended. And I don't have that exact amount, but what I will say is, that's basically the 1 million plus, let's just say the full ESSER amount of 2.1. That's $3.1 million infused revenue that we didn't have, and there are some cost increases there, but not near the 3.1 million of increased revenue.
I said the majority of our expenses ought to be already covered.
Yes, yeah, exactly. In other words, we've already spent for staffing and everything. And our costs, our costs were up a little bit. You know, every year we come in and we say towards the end of the year, let's do a budget amendment, because we didn't have a perfect crystal ball. We didn't know exactly how many kids were going to show up. As we add those teachers at the end of the summer, you know, some of those costs would be considered there. So we may have to make some adjustments at the end of the period, end of the summer.
Seems real simple to me, do it now or pay more later. Is there,
I think so.
I think it's gonna get even better. It's not much fun. Thank y'all for coming up and doing this, because I can't imagine it being too pleasant, but it is what it is.
It's a lot of fun.
well, I make a motion that we approve the guaranteed maximum price for Wylie East Intermediate Phase 2 for $3,999,482.
Multiple seconds.
Go ahead, your last one.
You can have it.
Brad,
That's just in case.
anybody have any other questions or thoughts on this? I agree. I think chances are good, or as good as getting.
Yeah.
All those,
I don't think it's gonna get better.
please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you again.
Thank y'all.
Again, thank y'all for coming. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good to meet you. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. You bet. You bet.
Thank you. Short timers, you know.
I'm not leaving yours over spent, trust me.
It is true, he's staying through the end of December, which will be through. We didn't really talk about that, but we're trying to shoot for a little bit earlier than the last day.
Well, we are on to items for information.
We have principal reports. Who wants to go first tonight? Oh, there comes Ken, come on.
We're gonna make this brief because you guys, your time is valuable. And I would really rather you just come to my school. Let me get to the mic. I would rather y'all come to my school and let me show you around. Let you open some milk or jelly or ketchup or something like that. So that, and my report's there. Does anybody have any questions about anything?
Anything you'd like to highlight?
Well, of course, eating, Teacher Appreciation Week. We did a camping theme last week, and so we did s'mores one day. We did coffee and muffins one day. PTO brought lunch to us. Crystal and I voluntold our husbands to cook hamburgers and hot dogs. So they came on Friday and cooked hamburgers and hot dogs for the staff. And so we appreciate them. They're doing an amazing job. A lot of things have been put on them this year. And we're very proud. We're very proud of them. So,
But I would agree with that. I did have a chance to be down and see her camping theme with the tent in the workroom and all those different things. But I really think, from what I have been observing the staff, they feel a little bit of the burden is being lifted right now, and I think.
well, after this week, we got Star right tomorrow and the next day. But after that, they will.
But I think it is what I see. Everybody is feeling a little bit better about life these days.
They're counting down, but they're feeling better. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, in early childhood, you have my report there, and I want to talk about what we're doing in pre-K and kindergarten science. Over the last couple of months, they've been learning about seeds and planting and bugs and the life cycles of bugs, and so they've been watching ladybugs and butterflies, the whole life cycle. We got them a bunch of eggs in each classroom, and they've been watching them, and they've just about this week started to take them outside and let them go. So they have had more fun with the ladybugs and caterpillars. So, and that's, I mean, there's a bunch of stuff on here. If you have any questions, I'd be happy
I might
to.
say, while they're working on it, can they do something about the mosquito larva? Pretty rough around our house right now.
Yep.
Thank you, Ms.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, as you can see, we're winding down the year, and we've been working hard on our academics, so we're finally going to get to have some fun. The last week of school, that's really all they're excited about, is that we're going to have field day for first and second grade, and we're also going to have our air castles, so everybody's really fired up. And then at the end of the year, we're going to host the summer school at West Elementary. And that's really all I have.
So that's a little different. Miss Casey is going to be, Miss Todd
Yes,
is going to be
she's-
taking that.
I call her the director of summer
She's the
school.
director.
She's really excited about her new title.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So she's gotten that lined out. She's done a lot of work
Yes.
to get that, because it has been a little bit of a challenge just to get our staffing lined up for that this
Yeah.
year. But she has, I think,
Yeah,
done that. and we're
we've
ready
got
to
our
go.
teachers all lined out, and our little kiddos, our list of our kiddos, so we're filling up those classes. And we're ready to go.
Thank you, Ms.
All right, thank y'all.
Ms. McMillan and I think on the same, alike, we, as you have your report and my report in front of you, the staff, that's what I want to highlight today. We've done a fabulous job this year. I want to say, I heard a word earlier from the DI parents, flexibility. I'm just going to be honest, sometimes teachers aren't very flexible. This year, they've had to be. They've had to be. And things at first that you put in front of them, oh no, now it's just, there's been so many examples. I wish I could share some of those with you, but so many examples, and I can't say thanks enough. And then not only our staff, but our parents and our students and the PTO coming up and taking care of our teachers this past week, but they've done a tremendous job, and I just want to say thank you to our staff. Another thing, just want to mention, you see the report at the very bottom, we're doing something, we've done a lot of things different this year, and some of the things we're going to keep for maybe years to come, some we hope we never ever have to do again. But if you look on the awards, academic awards, it's also on the back part too. I think in the past, we've tried to divide, it used to be all one big deal, then it went to third and fourth, separated by grades. We're going to go by trios or by duos. It's going to do several things for us. It's going to help reduce parking, we hope, and also just, we're going to be able to do it in the cafeteria instead of the gym. We think the sound system's better in there. So parents will come up, and celebrate the year with our kids, with their kids. So any questions? All right. Thank you all very much. Appreciate you guys.
I will say that our service is pretty good. We're even serving the cameraman cake. That's pretty good. I don't think CBS Sports gets that kind of treatment. So.
Man. It's coming up to the end of the year.
No doubt.
Oh, man. Thank y'all. Thank you very much. Got some dates to announce for us?
Yes, sir. We have baccalaureate coming up on the 23rd, 2 o'clock at Beltway Park. This year, Wylie Baptist pastor Mike Harkrider is going to be delivering the baccalaureate address. I've had the opportunity to hear him several times. He does a nice job. Then the high school graduation is scheduled for Friday, May 28th at 7 at Taylor County Expo Center. This year, we actually have our 2 outgoing board members going to celebrate empty nesters this year. Stephen and Mark are both going to have a graduate. Just to let y'all know, that our tradition in the past has been, if you as a board member want to hand that diploma to your daughter, and that both of y'all are handling the daughters this year.
Are you kidding me?
No.
I'm gonna get one off the stage by.
Well, you can ask permission, or you can surprise her.
If I surprised her, I'd be dead at the end. The looks would kill.
I'll be there.
You just know that you can be there for that, and we're
I'm
excited.
gonna give him a choice.
I might. We'll see.
Just one other reminder, we graduate at 7, as I mentioned. At 8 o'clock, Cooper High School is graduating at Shotwell. Now, we have been working with Abilene Police Department and all of our folks, Mr. Smith and his staff. We've been working toward that, and we actually, my thought is, if our folks are arriving early, if we are all in place, by around 7, a little before, that then the traffic for Cooper will be picking up at about the time we're finished with the traffic, and then while they're all in place, we'll be leaving. Now, we are gonna segregate the traffic. There will be no
Stadium Drive is not gonna be open between the stadium and the expo center, so that'll be closed off, so the east-south 11th, so.
I think Mr. Hagler had a tip from going to see Trace Adkins. He said, don't go down 36 and get off at, not 36.
On graduation 2 years ago, do not take exit 36.
For
You go down Treadway.
yeah. Or it's east, south, 11.
You'll set up a lot for you.
Yeah. So probably go down somewhere else, coming from the south 11th and Treadway area, going that direction. You'll avoid a lot of frustration.
So, a lot of parents didn't make it for the beginning of graduation.
Yeah. No doubt. And we saw that when we played Cooper the first year. People couldn't get to the ball game. So, any questions about graduation? We don't necessarily have a place for y'all to sit. There is no saving of seats, which is a big issue for the Expo Center this year. And, that's, if you want to get there, you got to get there and get a seat. Now, we all will work on y'all being on the stage. Okay.
Very good. Some workshops coming up.
Yes, sir. You see the summer schedule of events, meetings. The 5:30 budget workshops will include a meal. So Desiree's always very creative in meal preparation, or acquiring the meals, let's say that, not preparation per se. Just to, again, give you a feel of how those budget workshops will unfold. Really, the June workshop, we talk about revenue, because by that time, we should have pretty good numbers, not final numbers, but good numbers from our tax appraiser. We're getting new releases of our funding templates. Now, with all that said, with legislation going in, May 29th is the last day for the legislative session, so between the 9th and the 14th we'll be getting a lot of information. I don't know that they'll have a final template. They'll have something that we'll work off of. I don't know if you remember last year, our T2 numbers, which they base a lot of state funding on, we had numbers that were not real good in that. Now, I think they're gonna improve that this time around, but that was significantly different, causing our revenue to be off quite a bit at that June meeting. But that's, we'll have that in June. July, we'll give you any updates on revenue, and then really dig more into expenditures. And then in August, we hope there's a little bit of review, and by then maybe you'll have had a chance to work through all of our questions and kind of have a final understanding of where we are, and then we'll go to the final meeting at the end of August to adopt our tax rate and our budget as well. So that's how that flows. And so there's a couple of new board members coming on, so y'all put that down.
Wylie. We've talked a little bit about ESSER already.
Yes,
Did
sir.
you want to fill us in on the details on that?
Well, really, everything I had notes on, we've got to cross the bridge on. But Carol, did you have anything in particular to add to ESSER 3?
Oh, I was just gonna go back with a little bit of history. In 1920, we got 200,000 in ESSER relief at that time. And so it went into the pot to help us out with expenses and things. This grant is about $2 million, and it will go out to September of 2024 that it has to be spent. In between is another ESSER grant that is $1 million, that it's gonna go out till 2023 to be spent. And so that was why we needed to start spending and get things into the budget to, they want this ESSER 3 to go where possible to distance learning and learning loss. So 20% of it for sure will be spent on student learning. That's part of this grant. And Joey mentioned briefly that they only released 2/3 of the $2 million currently, and because I think it's still gonna go before the federal government for approval. So,
Is there a way to, thinking about the last year and a half, and impact, we won't know the impact on students probably for a little while. But if we've got another year or two to size it up, can you designate those funds to either tutors or summer school or something, some kind of catch-up? Or do you have to designate what you're gonna spend it on just by the time 2023 rolls around?
there are like 15 or 16 different areas that you can spend it on, so they're giving you some tips and some hints on where to spend it. Like I said, we were planning to use some of it on our summer school program, the after-school programs, any special software we've gotten to help with, as much as anything, measuring where students are, so we can get a grasp on what the learning loss is. All of those things can be calculated with this money.
So you say what you're gonna spend it on and hope that you kind of guess that that's where the need's gonna be.
And I think they're gonna give you some leeway if you say this is our plan, and if the plan has to change, I think they're gonna give it. One of the things that Carol said that I didn't address is ESSER 3. The reason I felt like we needed to address ESSER 3 is because it has been released, even though I don't think we can necessarily access it yet. As I said, we have to. I just got the email today that we've got to adopt a policy in regard to this, so we are going to be applying for it as soon as we can. ESSER 2 money, which was about $1 million, is that what you said?
Right.
Well, it hadn't been released yet. It's kind of backwards situation. They've got a lot of rules that they haven't completed on ESSER II funds.
Yeah, they put a deadline to release the funds to the states in ESSER III. When they wrote ESSER II, they did not put a release to the state deadline in it. And so that's the difference in the two. So they kind of got smarter as they were working through some of this.
Do we have to do any kind of follow-up after receiving these funds up for so long?
Oh,
That
yes.
we
There's-
show where the money went, show progress, or show anything like that?
Our auditors will look at them, especially when they get up into the $1 million range, they're gonna be looking at them.
Pretty good.
There's quarterly reporting, or there's annual reporting that has to be done, so. Matter of fact, these monies will be reviewed by almost everybody, our local auditors, state, education agency, federal, guidance. There are a lot of guidance that has to be followed with this, so everybody will be looking at this money.
And let me make a statement about the assessment of where the kids' growth is and where it's not. Mr. Hagler's been working hard on making sure that our assessment pieces are in place. You know, we've talked about a lot of different options out there that are available to how we assess the student growth, academic growth, and you know, one of the interesting pieces is, and they know this, and we've shared this with y'all in the past, you don't miss 9 weeks or a quarter of a year without there being some long-term impacts. You can't make up 9 weeks in a year's time. It's gonna be an extended growth. Now, I will say this, and I don't know, I think most of our folks would agree, because we opened the doors in August on time, I think that our kiddos had an opportunity to be less impacted than a lot of students in the state of Texas, and definitely across the country. You know, there's some places that are just now coming out of this thing. And I'm telling you, I don't know how they did it, to be honest with you, to put that pressure on parents alone. But, you know, I think this is gonna be, the ripple effect of this is gonna be very far-reaching. I use, and I'm sure they get tired of me using my tree ring analogy, but if you were to cut the tree ring and look at, this is gonna be one of those dry periods. And you know, you can't get that back. You just, in my opinion, you do the best you can with the cards you're dealt, and you just continue to try to work and see where students have gaps and try to fill in those gaps the best you can. I think with the work that these folks do, they are very aware of looking down the road and trying to anticipate a lot of these issues. And I feel good.
If I may jump in, you know, we're trying to recruit for our summer math and reading camp right now. We're talking about Mrs. Todd earlier, and we had several invites and declines. So we asked our teachers, some of the low-end kids, who needs this, sent them home, several declines. So we're like on phase 3 right now, going to the next teacher, say, okay, these 4 or 5 kids in my class, well, they're not coming. So these 4 or 5, a lot of it is that everybody's worn out right now. It's been a tough year. But we're offering it, and so just want to throw that out at you.
If I could mention 2 things about assessments. Carolyn, Joe, and I have talked about using ESSER III funds for the diagnostic tools next year because that qualifies. Also, she's talked about we're using it for payment of our teachers for summer school. But also, starting next month, if you remember, I addressed y'all about board goals. So in the next board June board meeting, we're going to show you the beginning of year assessment scores and end of year assessment scores and show how much growth we've shown. Of course, that's K through 2. Kindergarten students, you know, not all of them are in preschool, so we can't really show growth for all those students. But we can see for first and second grade how much growth we've had in one school year. And you'll get that next board meeting. And were there some other things we were talking about? We were talking about purchasing Saxon Phonics, which is a pretty large sum of money, about $45,000. Edgenuity, we're going to purchase that out of ESSER 3. That's credit recovery for the high school. We're going to use that. It can also be used for virtual learning if we need that again next school year. But it will be definitely used for credit recovery for summer school.
Thank you.
Yeah, and those transfers in from places that did not open in August will all be a challenge.
You know, I wish you hadn't said that, because I hadn't really thought about that, but you know,
We can move on.
we have always had a little bit of that, you know, folks, and they can tell you, we'll have folks move in from the West Coast, and they'll come in quite a bit behind where our kids are. I can't explain it, but it is a fact. And I think that this is gonna exacerbate the issue. And yeah, that'll be interesting. You know, now they'll be coming from places even within Texas that hadn't been in school until just recently, so.
Oh, man. Thank y'all for your work this
Yeah.
year.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you very much. Anything else on
No,
ESSER
sir.
3?
No,
Or
sir.
2?
No, sir.
All right. COVID update.
You probably know more than anybody, but we,
Better and better.
I think we've got our last case going off tomorrow, Jackie, is what you said? Yeah, so we've got one right now.
We had none last week, 0, and we tested 25 students and 6 staff with 0 positive. We had 4 decline that were symptomatic of something, but decline testing for the week. So our numbers have held into that 30, 20, 30, so that number's come down.
Up until last week, it seemed like the number of positive cases was up a little bit in the county, but the hospitalization stayed low. And Stephen, is that pretty accurate?
Yep. Last I looked on the county's website, there was in our hospitalizations county-wide, up 11.
Yeah.
Which has stayed low. We had a little bump, but I mean little bump, just which was for a couple of days, and it's just continued to stay low. And the percent positives has been high, but that's because they're not near the number of people getting tested. The only ones that are getting tested are probably the ones that have it. And so, that was a key indicator for a while, but now the numbers getting tested is so low, and the prevalence in our community has continued to remain low. And I'm glad it is that way. Very, very glad.
Let me just say that, one of the things that we talked about in the March special meeting was that I would be looking at loosening some restrictions. Right now, one of the big areas that we're being confronted with is our kiddos wanting to be in summer activities such as volleyball and basketball, and they don't have the facilities to practice in. So I will continue to work with Clay on that. Our feel was that the UIL had kind of placed some restrictions on us, but I think those are even lifting. So I would like to move forward with allowing kids access to our facility. Now, the other piece is the doghouse. We get a lot of calls about folks wanting to work out, and we may lag on the doghouse piece, but open up the gyms for the kiddos. But we and part of the reason for that is staffing. We just we're a little concerned about people taking care of that weight room equipment. With as far as disinfecting goes, that's a weakness I think we all have. But we'll continue to watch that. And, Coach Martin will kind of help me on that as far as staffing and start to move forward on the doghouse.
Yeah. I think if the trend stays the way it is, that it is more than reasonable to give those kids opportunities to practice,
That's all I have on that. Anything else? Do you have any comment at all?
About leaving? I want to appreciate y'all. Y'all do, and I mean this sincerely, y'all do a fantastic job. Very, very proud of the school and the accomplishments and achievements that y'all have year after year after year after year. Yeah, we're here, we help a little bit, but y'all do all the work. And we know that, and we just appreciate y'all immensely. We appreciate your teachers, your staff. It's just phenomenal. You know, I tell people all the time, you know, in fact, I was telling somebody today at one of the places I went that our kids are ready for college. And that starts from pre-K all the way up. And the curriculum that's chosen, the way y'all teach, the things y'all do, it's just fantastic. So really, really appreciate y'all make our life easy, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And the last year and a half, and I know a lot have been there's been some challenges. It's been frustrating at times on our side, but y'all are always the positive. And the kids have been great, and but there's, you know, outside influences that are what they are. People are always entitled to their own opinions, and that's fine. But I feel like we've done, for 9 years, I don't really feel like there's been a lot of bad decisions made. I feel like there's been a lot of good things going on, and y'all are led by a lot of good people up top as well. Joey and crew, couldn't be happier with what y'all do as well. I think y'all do a fantastic job, and it all, you know, it starts at the top and goes all the way to the bottom. And everybody from all aspects of what we do are important. So I, again, really appreciate it. It's been an enjoyable 9 years, and a challenging last year and a half for multiple things. But again, thank y'all for everything y'all do, and for you know, all the things that y'all will do in the future. So I know that y'all will continue to be a fantastic school, and I'm very, very glad that my kids had the opportunity to be here, and they've been blessed. So I hear lots of stories from other schools, and just know that we've got a great school here, and there's just no doubt. I don't care what anybody says. I'll challenge them any day of the week that this is one of the best schools in the nation, as far as I'm concerned. So thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I agree with Mark, totally. Tommy, Rob. I got you.
You got about 12 minutes.
No, I'll try to keep it brief. I got a lot of thoughts and things that I would like to convey, but I'll keep it brief. You know, a lot of people have asked what has pleased me the most, what's been the best part of it. And a lot of things come to mind. You know, we watched the school go from 4A to 5A, and a lot of construction projects and growth and class sizes just continuing to go up. And because of the leadership from you all the way down to the administrators and everybody that's got input in this, has continued to steer this school in the right direction. And we get to be a part of that, and I'm really grateful for that. As far as facilities go, that's taken community involvement and approval to get a lot of what we've done accomplished. And that pack down there is probably just the thing that makes me smile the most, if I had to pick one thing, but it's everything about the school district that makes me happy. Because like Mark, my kids have benefited from this, a couple of them from kindergarten all the way through. And now they are successful or achieving success and doing things that this school helped prepare them for. And so thank you all for doing that for my kids, for my family. The teachers, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention teachers, because teachers really are the ones that interact directly with our students and have the biggest impact. And my kids have had tremendous teachers over the years that have had huge impacts. Oh gosh, 12 minutes.
Hey, you
But I won't, because I'm sure I'd leave somebody out. But I mean, from Emma's kindergarten year, she did not want to come out of her shell. But anyway, her kindergarten teacher is just a gem, and pulled her out, and she is now a drum maker, you know, and up in front, standing on a podium. I never would have imagined that when she was 5. That's just probably the first example that comes to mind of impact that your teachers have had on my kids. I didn't plan on getting emotional. But the academics are excellent, the extracurricular activities have been excellent. And I would like to challenge the board and you guys to continue to look ahead and seek ways to maintain that excellence and continue to provide the best opportunities for our kids, because that's the whole reason I decided to do this 9 years ago. And I agree with Mark. I've had a pretty small part in it because you guys do all the work, and I really appreciate it, what y'all put into it. It's just been a blessing, a big blessing, and thank you all. So, with that, we need to go into executive.
Thank y'all. I think we got help with some cameras real quick, and we can